Okay, let's review the midterm. Should have done this a while ago, but first your name. That one is easy. What is the goal of graphic design? And that would be communication. Well, if you said anything, mentioned communication or something similar to that, counted it correct. And then 6 elements of design. We got line, shape, form, space, color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one are we missing? Line, shape, form, space, color, texture. Okay. Um, which of the following could a graphic designer work on? Magazine covers, company logo, business cards, store banner, movie poster. I want to let you guys answer these. Yep. Yeah. Um, 1 second. By the way, I uploaded some new notes in Google Classroom, but probably not gonna cover all of those. I just uploaded everything I had, but again, it's half of that is for next session when I teach 265 in a solo class, not a split class. It'll be a little bit different. Okay, anyways, moving on. What is a mark with greater length than width called? Starts with the L. It's an easy one, right? Line. And then what do you make when you connect the endpoints of a line? Yep. Yeah, not line segment. I know someone said line segment. It's the same thing. A shape with depth is called what? If you, it's form. I don't know. Maybe I should count 3D as correct. What are the primary colors? I I guess when it comes when yeah, it's actually red, yellow, and blue. But if you said green instead of yellow, maybe that's correct too, right? I mean, primary. I guess it depends because computer screens use RGB, so it might be confusing. Primary colors, but it's red, yellow, and blue. But when you're talking about computer screens, it's actually primary colors of light. Then the yellow becomes green. So if you said green instead of yellow, it's fine. What is the complement of red? That's we can't do that one. That was green. Um, list 8 principles. We got balance. I will name another one. Come on, name it before I write it. Emphasis, movement, pattern. There's another one with a P. Rhythm. I spelled rhythm wrong. Variety and unity. Maybe these are not as easy to remember as the elements. Really, it's not because I'm cheating. I have a list next to me. Which principle does this demonstrate? Yep. No. Well, what sort of balance? It is if you said balance, that's right. Because I asked what principle. I didn't say which type of balance it is. It's um, asymmetrical. Asymmetrical because they're not identical exactly, but it's still balance. Balance is correct. All right. Describe some ways to add emphasis to an image. Okay, I'll let you guys answer. How do you add emphasis to an image? Anybody? Name one way. Yeah, movement as in highlight movement. Highlight, I would say add contrast probably. Add contrast. Movement. When we say movement, what do we mean exactly? It means directing your eyes right through some lines or maybe someone pointing. Um, light. Well, light. I would count. That would be contrast. So yeah, again, contrast. I don't know if that's officially one of them, but I guess in some way you could. But um, we got here got contrast, right? This is black. Everything else is light color. There's another one. Well, I guess again this is contrast, but maybe proportion we could say. Another thing is well, there's the movement. I guess what this doesn't show is symmetry or balance or placing it at the center. Um, center. Rule of thirds. I don't know if rule of thirds adds emphasis. That just it's just a nice way to compose your image. Huh? Didn't catch that. Yeah. Anyways, I think there's enough contrast, movement. Place it in the center. So let's add proportion. Make it bigger or smaller, and of course, isolate with white space. Just if you put it by itself. Alright, describe some of the elements and principles you can see in this image. Where did I get this image from? I don't remember if this is AI generated or if I found this on the internet. Looks AI generated, but might be from the internet. Yeah, balance. Alright, it's pretty balanced. Someone said movement. Texture. Of course, color. Yeah, we got yeah, shapes, forms. I mean, we could list everything. Lines. There's some lines. I mean, this one just list a bunch of stuff. I'll count it correct. And the only way you could get this wrong is if you left it blank. Find or create an image that demonstrates movement. May use an image found on the internet, draw the image, or have AI created for you. I guess the easiest thing would be to image that demonstrates movement principle. There you go. I mean, so pretty much if you uploaded an image that shows lines that might be directing your eye to a certain part of the image, maybe the center of it. Like in this case, the waves are kind of, your eyes kind of watch this, come around, and then back to the center. Maybe, um, I don't know, there's really nothing there. Maybe the mountain is the focus of that one. Or, I mean, a good example would be Last Supper, I think. In this one, I don't know what the triangle is, but there's lines coming towards the center, also pointing with their hands. I think yeah, no, okay. I had it here. That was the main picture here. Some other examples. Just to remind you, that's what movement is. Okay, what are some ways to be more interesting? This one, you guys were probably confused. Like, why am I asking this? But it was in the notes. Maybe not the first PDF, but the second one. Let me open that up. Was it this one? Yeah, you must be interesting. First step to become interesting is to be interested. And basically, research and experience, curiosity, reading, traveling, sharing ideas, read, travel, share ideas, learn new things, even watch movies. That's not interesting. Technically, it's one of the things. Describe lateral thinking. We had lateral thinking and linear reasoning. Which one was lateral thinking? Thinking outside the box. And then linear reasoning, that's a more methodical approach to or strategic process of forming a conclusion. Oops. in design, that would be I guess after you have your basic idea through your lateral thinking, maybe you did some sketches, maybe you used some word association to come up with your sketches. Then you use linear reasoning to figure out, I don't know, the proportions and the colors and all that. How can you use linear reasoning and lateral thinking in your design? Well, use lateral thinking to come up with ideas by brainstorming, using word association, then build on those ideas using um, principles, methods to figure out the correct proportions, colors, textures, etc. Okay. And what are some benefits of exploratory drawing? I mean, this one's kind of um, really open, I guess. I mean, you can't really get this one wrong. We just said better at drawing, you'll get better at drawing. And um, noticing details, everyday objects. Um, you notice the relationship between the subject and surrounding space. That was not too hard. It was pretty short midterm exam. So the final exam is gonna be probably similar amount of fill in the blank questions, and then there will be 10 multiple choice, maybe more. Multiple choice is the easiest part because you just have some definitions and keywords. Um, any questions on that? Probably won't include that many midterm topic. Maybe I'll ask you principles, elements, and then some vocab words. So it's a lot of vocab words. Well, not a lot, but there'll be some vocab words that you'll find throughout the lessons. But you could just Google the definition, so it's not that hard. Welcome. By the way, these are what I uploaded. Where is it? Notes. Oh, where did my notes go? Oh, there they are. Okay, so we for sure looked at Unit 1, modules 1 through 3, this first one here, or this one, we looked at um, Unit 1. Well, we looked at these two. That's Unit 1 principles. This was the first one we looked at. This was where you'll find the elements and the principles. This one, Unit 1, Module 3, we talk about research. Linear reasoning, lateral thinking are in here as well. And exploratory drawing. And I think the last one we looked at was probably this one, Unit 1, Module 4 to 7, where we talked about visualizing ideas, brainstorming, word association, roughs, didactics, semiotics. So definitely gonna ask you about what's a didactic style, or what's a poetic style, what's a metaphor. Again, it's just vocab words. Maybe some questions about research. And oh, actually there's one more after this. We also looked at Unit 2, Fundamentals of Composition. So I might ask you some questions about this. For example, the following elements are important considerations in composition. So I might ask you, what are important considerations in compositions? Balance, contrast, consistency, proximity, repetition with variation, white space. Oh, and maybe I'll throw in some questions about Fibonacci. And that's it. So those are all the notes we've covered so far. I guess there's not much more. Okay, so we looked at those 4. There's only 2 more, maybe 3. I don't know if there's more to the Unit 3 than. I guess that's all Unit 3 is. It's very short, just some stuff about typography. But Unit 2, 5 and Unit 2, 6 to 9. We have not looked at these. There's more about fundamentals of composition. So we'll probably look at that today. And then Module 6 to 9. Even more. Oh, I guess the whole Unit 2 is about fundamentals of composition. So we'll look at these 2, maybe 1. I don't know if we'll have time to look at both of them. If this is super long, we'll just look at this. Actually, why don't we look at it now? Right, so this is following up on Unit 2-1, Fundamentals of Composition. Actually, real quick, this is Unit 2, Module 1. There may be a Module 2 through 4 that we haven't looked at yet, because we go from Module 1 to Module 5. Let me check real quick. I might have a in between. I guess not. I never made a in between. Unless it's this. I have the InDesign file, but not a PDF. But let me just double check. This might just be the same thing. And I have to sign into Adobe. Got signed out again. Alright, 1 second. Let me pause this while I sign in. Alright, so fundamentals of composition, module 2, form and space. In learning to create meaningful compositions, it's important to understand the role of visual perception and its role in visual communication. Let me actually pop this out in a new window. Okay, whether consciously or not, our eyes are constantly applying information to our brain, supplying information to our brain, which processes and makes sense of that visual input. Form is always experienced in relation to the space around it. It occupies and um, to other forms that may be present in the format. So you can't really look at something without also looking at the surrounding space, right? Because they go together. What you're looking at is always going to be surrounded by something. And we call this the figure-ground relationship, where figure refers to any object in a given space, and ground refers to the background, or space in which that object is seen. You could also call it negative and positive space. Visual elements are always seen in relation to a visual field, background, or frame. In other words, every form is seen in context and cannot be totally isolated. Generally speaking, a form is considered to be positive and the space around it negative. The space within a format is an important element of any design and not just something left over once the form is placed on it. It matters within the overall design since the ground affects the form and vice versa. You guys can see, here's another example. Maybe you don't notice it right away, but in this, the ground or positive space is this rocky mountainside with the tree. And I don't know what that's supposed to be. Mushroom, maybe? No, I don't know what that is actually. But you can also see in the negative space or the white space, the background forms a face. So in this case, you could consider that the positive space and that the negative space. Okay, law of closure. I think we talked about this again. Maybe I mentioned this. We were talking about, what's that German word? Um, but closure is, well, you could see the demonstration of these images. There's no actual triangle in this image. There's no actual sphere in this image. There's no actual cube in this image. But your brain completes the shape for you, right? Your brain is connecting these endpoints and forming a triangle for you, or in this case, you're seeing a sphere, or in this case, you're seeing a cube. It can be a useful device in design and is related to figure and ground since it relies on our ability to collapse the space between foreground and background. Okay, rule of thirds. Mentioned the rule of thirds today. Um, the rule of thirds says that most compositions become more dynamic when divided into thirds vertically and or horizontally, with important elements placed within these thirds. Dividing a composition in half will halt the closure and keep the viewer's eye centered on the halfway point, especially if an object is placed at the exact center point. The rule of thirds ensures movement on the page and actively engages positive and negative space in the visual design. So, I think maybe you're right. The rule of thirds could be used to add emphasis since we're saying here the important elements are placed within those thirds. I guess you were right about that. Whoever mentioned that. Welcome. Symmetry in design refers to spatial relationship between elements, specifically to a situation where the elements in the layout are centered, having equal space to the left and right, or above and below. A mirror image on either side. The second meaning of symmetry is more general, refers to a sense of harmony or balance, which in turn is seen to reflect beauty. Symmetry carries associations of perfection, tradition, order, and rationality and peace. So that's something to consider in your design. If you're going to make something symmetrical or not. Designing without symmetry. In asymmetrical design, elements are not centered but utilize the whole format, creating a dynamic composition that plays with scale, contrast, space, and tension between elements. Negative space is usually less passive as asymmetrical design in a asymmetrical design and becomes easily evident as part of the design. Asymmetry is generally associated with fewer rules and limits and more expressive possibilities. So choosing symmetry or asymmetry. Similar questions arise in any design you undertake. How should the space be divided? How should the subject matter occupy the space? Each decision you make on placement will affect the emotion of the design. Symmetry tends towards balance and lack of movement, while asymmetry injects movement and spatial tension into a design. So maybe it's a uh, trying to show some action or chaos or something, then you're gonna have asymmetry. But trying to show something peaceful, balanced, static, not moving, then it's gonna be symmetrical. Okay, let's talk about something new. Principle of design layout. The term layout refers to the organization of disparate material that makes up the content of a design. Well-designed visual communication presents information in a logical, coherent way and makes the important elements stand out. Basic principles of good composition are of the utmost importance in the process, and a thoughtful approach in the delivery of the material is, as always, the designer's first consideration. Practical factors. There's three basic stages in beginning any graphic design project: the brief, format and budget, and organization. So the brief is when the designer begins by receiving a brief from the client, usually establishing what materials should be included and the format for the project. This involves a combination of text or copy and images. The brief should also indicate the desired look or feel of the work, which in turn will depend on the target audience. So those 99 designs projects I had you guys look at, the design brief is the brief, right? It's for a logo though in those cases, so you're not gonna have much copy. Well, you do have copy. Any slogans or um, catchphrases or whatever might be included with the logo. I guess would be considered copy, but copy is, say you're designing, you're building a website, the copy would be all the text, maybe the about us, maybe the descriptions for products or the menu. Um, yeah, usually when you don't have the copy, that's when you inject it with that lorem ipsum text as a placeholder. Um, the brief should also indicate the desired look or feel, which in turn will depend on the target audience. So, should the layout look authoritative? Authoritative? Should it be densely packed with information? Does the message warrant a lean and structured design with lots of white space? Should it shock the viewer, relax them, or make them smile? Okay, format and budget. The amount of space you have to work with and number of pictures and copy provided to you will affect the look of the layout. You must reach an agreement with the client on the levels of importance for copy and images. How important something is can be indicated by type, size, weight, form, and color. When working with print, colors can affect the budget. You should figure out if you have the budget for a colorful layout before conceptualizing. With online or digital projects, colors are free, but some colors read better on screen than others. Okay, grids. The grid enables the layout of columns, margins, and areas for text and image. A well-designed grid allows for some flexibility of placement on individual pages while providing an underlying system that gives visual coherence across a series of pages. This is crucial in any kind of editorial work, including books and magazines, but also applies to well-designed website pages, where some elements stay the same and others change. Like I think for your mood boards, might be a good idea to create a grid. Actually, for everything you do, grid is really useful. You don't realize till you use one. Just makes things easier to position and makes it look good. All right. Well, yeah. I always consider how good it looks. It's called the execution. I don't know if I put a rubric this time, but usually I grade based on time management, following directions, originality, and an execution. Uh, Styles of layout can be divided into two basic styles, symmetrical and asymmetrical. I feel like we talk about symmetrical and asymmetrical too much, but we're talking about layout design now, and also it matters in layout design, of course. A symmetrical layout traditionally commonly seen on title pages of books where each line of type is centered above the others. Um, Type size must be carefully judged and spacing between each line considered, since certain information belongs in the same typographic unit and should be grouped accordingly. Fine-tuning horizontal line space is critical. These judgments must be made while maintaining balance and beautiful composition. In asymmetrical style, the type is primarily ragged left. Ragged right setting is kept to a few lines, as well Western cultures read left to right. Justified blocks of text are important design elements of the modular grid system in this asymmetrical page design. The unusual division of the photographic image elevates the grid system itself to a central design element, and as the margins become lines, shows the influence of the constructivist movement. Okay, good. We're done with that. So I might throw in. I don't see not too much new here. Just more about um, composition, balance, symmetry. So we only have like two more of these left, but yeah, let's not waste time on this. It's the last day. I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to show us what they've done so far, and maybe we could give some advice or some feedback. Also, you guys get to share it with everyone. So, how about we take like a 10-minute break so you guys have time to get stuff ready? We we did look at it last time, last class. We got to see some of your work, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, unless that was a different class. So I'm guessing there's not going to be much new. Either way, we'll still look at it. It is the last day, so let's take one more look at all your work. Just include it, put it all together in one PDF. Because I'm counting the mood board, logo study, color study as one assignment. Yeah. Also, I noticed in Nelson's class, I see you guys posting stuff in the stream so that everyone else can see it. Uh, Maybe you should do that because the way we do it now, you guys only see each other's work whenever I show it to you on the screen. So, um, how can are you guys able to post in the stream like so that everyone can see it, or do I have to create a place for you to upload it or something? I don't know how that works. Okay. Yeah, why don't you guys post what you want to share in there, and then that way we can take more time looking at it, reviewing it. I mean, maybe I'll announce it in the stream so you guys can follow. Please post your. Cool. I'm sure you guys got the notification for that. Okay, yeah. Quick 10-minute break and then we'll check those out. So we're gonna watch Young Guns. think this is episode. What is this? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like episode 9 and 10. Well, 9, I think, but I don't know. I think these both show the same designs. Um, I think it's 9. If not, we'll skip to 10. But both of these will show us a nice design uh, branding presentation. Okay, it's the one with the airline. If this is the one I remember correctly, then this would be a good example of your final project. So, brand identity, design presentation, and critique, Young Guns episode 10. That's, sorry, episode 9. Okay. Episode 9, if we have time, we'll watch 10, but probably not today because it's an hour long. Both of them are like an hour long, so we probably only have time for one. But start with 9. The brand identity design process. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording this part because obviously we don't need to record that. So hop on the watch together. So if you want to create something similar to what you saw in that video, you could create, well, you could just create any size, honestly, and then you could modify it. There is a tool here to resize the artboard. Page tool. With the page tool, you could make it wider and then zoom out. Well, actually, this one doesn't let me. Okay, so the page tool, you see it's not letting me resize it. I forgot the reason why. I think you just have to hold the Alt button. Otherwise, it just snaps back into the original size. So hold Alt when you're stretching it. Get a nice long artboard like that. And then I would create a grid system. So to create grid, you can go to layout, not margins and columns, but create guides, and you could choose the number of columns and rows that you want. And I wouldn't make the columns and rows too small, but just like the perfect size so that you could um, so you can you'll have more freedom to position things if you have smaller grid pattern, but then you don't want it too small because then it just becomes kind of pointless. And notice I turned off um, the gutter, set that to 0. You can turn on the preview to see what's happening. Actually, let me remove existing so that it doesn't confuse us. You could turn that on to clear the old ones. And I think I would go with something maybe like that, 35 by 10. Let's make that 36. Even 40. Make it more square. I think that would be a good grid to use. Then you could start laying out your frames. I mean, you don't have to use the frame tool. You could just use regular shape tools. But eventually you would drop in shapes in there. And actually, notice we have a margins out on the outside, the purple lines. So you want to keep all your important content within those margins. And they're a little bit too much. It's 3p margin, which is kind of too much. Let me switch that to what do you call it? pixels. Pixels. So the margin, instead of p's, if we look at it as pixels, so it makes more sense to us. It's 36 pixel margin, which is a little too much. I'll maybe take that down to like 20. And then when you're creating the guides, you could make the guides start from the margin instead of the edge of the paper. I think that would make more sense since we are gonna keep everything within the margins. When you create those guides, there's an option here to fit guides to margins. Okay, and I think we were at 40 and 10 with zero gutter. Zero gutter on the columns and the rows. So like that. So now it starts perfectly within the margins, and then you can start creating your placeholders. And you just basically just fit everything in like a puzzle. And don't be afraid to leave some white space. Alright, so where's the video? Looking at this, he's got like a big space. I guess a lot larger rectangles can be made here. Oh, I think I accidentally deleted one of the guidelines. Anyways, if you don't want to accidentally delete them, because you could accidentally do that, make sure you lock them. Let me recreate them real quick. Remove existing. Click OK, and then go to, I think it's under View, Grids and Guides, Lock Guides. That way you can't accidentally select them and delete them. Okay, but just as an example, in this one you can see it's just a bunch of squares, rectangles, and it probably fits in some sort of grid. I don't think they did that without the grid. Just don't have to make things different color. If I'm not gonna leave any white space between them, I need to do that so you can kind of see where everything starts and ends. There you go. And then you just drop in your images. So maybe save this for a logo, variations of it. Maybe drop in some, I don't know, business cards or something here, or just a mock-up that you found online. Maybe stock image of a person with the pattern behind them. But look at other examples. I mean, these are cool examples, but you can always go to Behance. See some examples here. I'll just type in branding. Discover branding. And see some other examples. What kind of mock-ups that they use. Usually it's posters, t-shirts, print material, and again, you could use some of the Adobe software to create the mock-ups yourself, or just download them. I might have a couple mock-ups. I think I tried to upload it last time, but I did not. Let's see. Mockups. Where did I save my mockups? Okay, so here's one mockup. It's a simple logo. That's not a very exciting one. Kind of simple. You could easily create something like that yourself. Let's open these two. Okay, so here's a bunch of mockups that I've downloaded. Usually they're Photoshop files, and there's gonna be smart object layers. So go to layers, you'll see one of your layers will be a smart object. You can tell because it has this little icon on the bottom right corner, and if you hover over it, it says smart object thumbnail. If you double click on that, it will open up the logo just like this, and then you can drop in your logo or whatever designs you're gonna do, patterns and logos. um, what did I do with that last logo we were working on? Oh, this is one of you guys. Anyways, I don't have an example logo. I'll just drop this. What's this? Drop this Cajun 6 logo on it real quick. Go to our layers and turn off these other layers. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Get rid of that text layer and whatever else there is here. Where's that text layer coming from? Ah, there it is. And just drop another color in the background. Maybe this gold color. Drop that on a new layer. And then just close that and then save it. And you can see it places it in that angle and adds whatever effects it comes with. Here's a gold foil one. So you're meant to drop a background image on this one. throw in a color. Your logo here. I think this is missing stuff though. I mean, or maybe that's it. I don't know. Anyways, there's others. Let's check this one. Okay, so this one's like a 3D text. We could double click the logo and replace it with something else. Maybe I have something in Illustrator. But you could just hide this one, you don't have to delete it. Create a new layer or just drop in another logo. There we go. We did Ridgeway mugs last time. Maybe I should drop this in if I still have it. Copy that and paste it in here. Close it. Say yes. And there you go. It makes it in 3D. Obviously, it doesn't really work well with this design. You need more simple logo on this. Maybe just a word mark. But it'll apply all those effects, make it 3D. Here's another one. Close up of a business card corner. Double click. Looks like we have to double click again. Here we go. Here's the thing that we need to replace. Paste this here again. Drop that in, save it. Close that, save it. And there it is. Last time I was trying to show you how to make your own mockup, but it was a glitch. I don't know what happened, but I tried it again and it worked the second time. But the technique I was showing you, where you first create a grid. What did I do it with though? Too bad I lost the image I was working on. Anyways, find mockups online or create your own. You could use 3D mockups with Adobe Dimension, or you could Photoshop your own mockups, or just find some stock images or posters online. Like even this, for example, you could take this image and just place your own design over this one. Well, I guess it would be kind of hard because this has like nice shadows. You would want to put those shadows there too. If you place your image over this, you're gonna cover those shadows. So I don't know. You could easily find a mock-up of a billboard or something with all the shadows and stuff to make it look realistic. Anyways, 9:42. We're out of time. Did you guys get a chance to look at each other's work on the stream? I see, yeah, more of them got submitted. That's good. So we've seen most of these already. I'm gonna stop the recording at this point.